I was about to tell him I was pregnant. But he admitted his ex was too, they'd reconnected for closure. And now he wanted us to co-wife while he decided, when I refused, he called me selfish and sent her a pic of my test captioned, "Oops." She called me a backup womb. So I sent her the screenshots he accidentally airdropped and watched everything burn. I swear I can still hear him saying that. Word for word. We were sitting in his car in the Target parking lot. I had a small gift bag in my lap, the kind you'd put jewelry or perfume in, but inside was my positive pregnancy test. I'd been rehearsing what I'd say all morning. He was fiddling with his phone, acting twitchy, like something was on his mind. Before I could even take the test out of the bag, he said, "I need to tell you something before you say whatever you're about to say." My stomach dropped. He looked straight ahead and blurted out, "I got someone else pregnant." At first, my brain didn't process it. I thought maybe he meant a hookup from before we got serious. But then he said her name. His ex. The one he swore he blocked for good. The one he said was toxic and manipulative. He said they reconnected for closure. Closure. That word hit me like a slap. Then he started explaining, like this was some adult conversation where we'd work through it together. He told me he didn't want to lose either of us because both pregnancies matter. Then came the sentence that made my vision go white-hot with rage. He asked if I'd be open to co-wifing, like actually sharing him until he made a final decision. When I told him no, when I said I deserved better, he smirked and said, "You're selfish. Real women know how to share." Then, as if to prove his point, he took a picture of my pregnancy test and sent it to her. Captioned it, "Oops." I didn't even know he'd done that until she messaged me later that night. Her first words were, "So I guess you're the backup womb." She attached the photo of my test, the same one I'd planned to hand him wrapped in that tiny gift bag. I sat on the edge of my bed, shaking, the kind of shaking that doesn't come from fear. It comes from betrayal so deep it makes your blood boil. Then something clicked. Because a week earlier, he'd accidentally airdropped me a batch of screenshots while we were sharing pictures. I'd noticed, saved them without really looking, assuming they were work-related. But now I opened those files. And what I found inside made my heart stop. They weren't just texts between him and her. They were messages between him, her, and another number. A group chat titled Family Planning. And my name was in there, not as his girlfriend. But as option B, I didn't even know what I was looking at first. The screenshots were all mixed in with memes, random selfies, and old receipts. But when I opened one labeled FP Chat, I saw it clear as day. The messages started about 2 months before that night in the parking lot, right around the time he and I were talking about moving in together. In the chat, it was him, his ex, and some guy named Derek. I didn't recognize the number, but from the way they talked, Derek was her cousin or maybe her friend. He was giving them advice on how to handle the situation. The first message I read was from him. "If she's really pregnant, we can spin it like a blessing. 2 moms, 1 future." Then the ex replied, "She's emotional. You know how she gets when she feels special. Keep her calm until we're sure." And then Derek chimed in. "You don't want her flipping on socials before you make it official with M, the ex. Keep her sweet. Make it look like you're choosing her later if it helps." That's when it hit me. They were talking about me. I scrolled through pages of messages, my hands trembling. They'd planned everything, what he'd say to me, how he'd gaslight me into thinking the pregnancy was my idea, how he'd pivot back to the ex once I was stabilized. The worst part, they talked about my baby like a prop. If she keeps it, that works. If not, you're still covered. Covered. Like this was an insurance policy, not my life. I remember sitting there on my bed, the light from my phone screen hitting the pregnancy test on my nightstand. That tiny plastic stick that had changed everything. And now I was finding out that to him, it meant nothing. He called me the next morning like nothing had happened. "Hey, can we talk? I didn't mean to upset you yesterday. It's just a lot." His voice was soft, fake, the way he always sounded when he wanted to manipulate me. I told him I needed space. He said, "I'll give you space, but don't do anything rash. Remember, we're in this together." Together, right. I started digging deeper, checking old texts, Venmo transactions, even his Instagram activity. That's when I found a post from the ex, a sonogram picture with the caption, "Miracles come in pairs, 2 hearts pairs, 2 babies, 2 women. 1 man playing God." I remember staring at that caption for a long time, until I realized the timestamp. She'd posted it the same day I told him I thought I might be pregnant. That's when the rage started turning into something else. Something sharper. Because I realized I didn't just want to confront him, I wanted to expose him. And he'd already given me everything I needed without even knowing it. For 3 days, I didn't say a word to him. I played it calm. Quiet, like I was one of those women who just needed time to process. Meanwhile, I was saving every single thing: screenshots, voice notes, bank transfers, even his dumb memes that hinted at double blessings. By day 4, he started panicking. Texting nonstop. "You're scaring me. Don't do anything crazy. Remember, we're in this together." Together, my ass. I created a fake email account and backed up all the messages from the airdropped screenshots. Then I did something I knew would make him sweat. I texted him saying we should talk in person. He replied in seconds. "Finally, dinner, my treat." I told him to meet me at our favorite spot, a little Mexican restaurant in Arlington where we'd had our first date. It felt poetic, ending things where they started. He showed up wearing that stupid leather jacket he always wore when he wanted to look serious. He looked nervous, but also smug, like he thought this was just another fight he could smooth over. I slid my phone across the table before even opening the menu. The screen showed the group chat. His face drained completely. "Where did you get that?" he said, voice low. I just stared at him. "You airdropped it to me, genius." He froze. He actually started laughing, but it was that ugly, panicked laugh. "You're overreacting. Those are old messages. We were just trying to figure things out." "Figure things out?" I asked. "You called me option B. You planned how to keep me quiet." He leaned closer and whispered, "You don't want to make this ugly, okay? I can still take care of you." That's when I realized he still didn't get it. He thought he still had control, so I let him think that for a little longer. I nodded, pretending to calm down. "Fine, I just need honesty." He relaxed instantly. "Good, that's all I want too." We finished dinner. He even walked me to my car, kissed my forehead, and said, "See, we can work through this." I smiled and said, "Yeah, I think we can." Then I went home, opened my laptop, and started working on my real plan. First, I forwarded the screenshots to myself and a second backup email under a random name. Then I printed everything, hundreds of pages of proof. Next, I created a shared Google Drive folder titled Family Planning Files. I added him, the ex, and Derek to it. Then I dropped everything in there. Every message, every receipt, every audio clip. And finally, I renamed one of the files. Guess who's going viral? I didn't post it publicly, not yet. But I knew word would spread fast once they realized what I'd done. I wanted to watch them panic first. And I didn't have to wait long, because the next morning the ex showed up at my job. She wasn't angry. She was smiling. I was halfway through my shift at the clinic when the front desk buzzed me. There's a woman here asking for you," the receptionist said quietly. "She says she's your sister-in-law." That's how she got through security. When I stepped into the waiting area, there she was, the ex. Her belly already showing, a smug little curve under her designer coat. She was holding a Starbucks cup and smiling like we were about to grab brunch. I froze. "What are you doing here?" She didn't even flinch. "Relax, I'm not here to fight." She tilted her head. "You made quite the splash last night." That's when I knew she'd seen the folder. I started to speak, but she cut me off. "I just came to say thank you." "Thank you," she smiled wider. "You did what I couldn't. You exposed him without me having to lift a finger." I was confused, angry, but also curious. "So what, you're not mad?" "He called me option B." "Oh, I know," she said. "I told him too." My throat went dry. "What?" She leaned in, lowering her voice. "He thought he was playing both of us, but I've been playing him for months." I couldn't breathe. She took a slow sip of her coffee, savoring my reaction. "He told you I was pregnant, right? I'm not. Never was. That sonogram on Instagram, stock photo." I just stared at her. She continued like she was explaining a business plan. "I found out he cheated on me with you a long time ago, so I decided to make him miserable. The fake pregnancy, that was phase 1. Getting him to reconnect and confess, phase 2. And now, thanks to your little public Dropbox stunt, phase 3 is complete." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "So, you set both of us up." She tilted her head. "No, I used you, but you used yourself too. You thought you were getting revenge, but you just helped me destroy him." She dropped something on the counter, a white envelope, and walked away. I opened it. Inside was a printout of an eviction notice. His name was on it, not hers. She'd been living in his house, rent-free, and apparently just filed to have it legally transferred to her name, using documents he'd signed for the baby. My hands shook so hard I almost tore the paper. That's when I realized how deep this really went. He hadn't just lied to me. He'd been played by her, and now I was tangled right in the middle of their war. But I wasn't done yet. Because if she thought I was going to be her cleanup girl, her collateral, she was wrong. I texted him that night. She came to see me today. We need to talk, now. He showed up 30 minutes later, disheveled and furious, ranting about how she'd stolen everything. And that's when I decided, if they both wanted to play games, I was going to finish them both. That night, he showed up at my apartment looking wrecked. Hoodie, unshaven, reeking of cheap whiskey, he dropped onto my couch like the world had ended. "She took my house," he muttered, staring at the floor. "Everything's gone. Even my savings." I didn't say anything, just watched him unravel. He rubbed his face and said, "You don't understand. She was supposed to love me. She was supposed to—" I cut him off. "You played both of us." He looked up, bloodshot eyes full of fake sincerity. "No, I messed up, but she manipulated everything. You're the only one who really cared about me." It almost made me laugh. He thought he could just rewrite history in my living room. But I stayed quiet, pretending to listen. Every word he said was another puzzle piece. He told me about fake documents, business accounts she'd created, how she got him to sign power of attorney for the baby. He even admitted he didn't know if she was ever really pregnant. That was my moment of clarity. Both of them were snakes. He was manipulative, she was calculating, and they both thought I was naive. I wasn't. I waited until he passed out on my couch. Then I quietly went through his bag. Inside, I found a flash drive labeled Docs. When I plugged it into my laptop, my jaw dropped. It wasn't just files, it was their files. Bank statements, text logs, private notes about keeping stories straight. There was even a folder labeled Plan B Damage Control with screenshots of my texts to him. They'd been preparing for me to break. They'd documented my reactions. That's when I decided revenge wasn't just emotional, it was going to be legal. The next morning, I called a lawyer friend from college, someone who worked in family and property law. I told her everything, sent her the files. Her exact words were, "Holy shit, you have enough here for fraud, defamation, and emotional distress." We worked quietly for days. I played nice with both of them. Texted him, comforted him, even offered to help him get his stuff back. Meanwhile, my lawyer was drafting a report, names, timestamps, and every piece of evidence showing how they both manipulated pregnancies for leverage and property. But before I could file anything, something unexpected happened. The ex, M, posted on Facebook a long, emotional post about being betrayed by two liars and losing her baby. She tagged him. She tagged me. Within hours, people were flooding my DMs with hate, calling me a homewrecker, baby killer, snake. My heart sank. She turned the internet against me in one post. And the worst part, he commented under it. "You're right. I made a mistake with her. I only ever loved you." The same night, he texted me, "Don't talk to anyone. It's all lies. I'll fix it." Fix it, right. I looked at that flash drive sitting on my desk and realized something important. They'd both underestimated me again. And I still had one more card to play. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat there, staring at the screen, watching the comments pile up under her Facebook post. People from my job, my neighbors. Even my mom's cousin had shared it with the caption, "Some women have no shame." They'd turned me into the villain, and they were loving it. But while they were busy destroying my name online, I was destroying something real. See, that flash drive wasn't just gossip. It contained digital receipts. There were documents showing bank transfers from my account to his joint business with her. Small amounts, $200 here, $300 there, stuff I'd Venmoed him when he told me his card wasn't working. But those transactions had been relabeled in their files as gifts or support. They were using my money to prove I was financially supporting their family. And then I saw it, a contract template with my name on it. It said parental support agreement. They were trying to legally tie me to her fake pregnancy. That was the moment something in me snapped. I called him and told him I wanted to meet. "No fighting," I said. "Just closure." He agreed, instantly. We met at a diner off Route 360, a quiet one with peeling red booths and greasy pancakes. He sat down across from me, still wearing that pathetic, regretful expression. He started with, "I didn't mean for things to go this way." I cut him off. "She faked the pregnancy, didn't she?" He blinked. "W what?" "She told me everything," I said. "You signed your house over to her. The baby, fake, the love." "Fake everything." He went pale. I could see him calculating what to say, what lie might still work. Then his phone buzzed on the table, her name flashing. He didn't answer, but I leaned over, grabbed it, and hit speaker. Her voice came through loud and clear. "You really thought I'd stay quiet after the papers went through? I own everything now, idiot." He looked like he'd been punched in the chest. "You filed already?" "Weeks ago," she said, laughing. "While you were busy trying to convince your little backup womb that you cared." He went silent, completely still. That's when I said, "Oh, by the way, I've been recording this entire conversation." His eyes snapped to me. "You what?" I just smiled. "Everything, her call, your confession, all of it." He lunged for the phone, but I pulled back and stood up. "You both wanted to play games with my life. Congratulations, you just gave me everything I need." I walked out of that diner with the phone still recording, my hands shaking, not from fear but adrenaline. And when I got home, I sent the recording straight to my lawyer. She called me 5 minutes later. "You have no idea what you just did. This changes everything." But it wasn't until the next morning that I realized how much it changed, because M's Facebook post was gone. Her entire account deleted, and so was he. Both of them disappeared overnight. For a few days it was quiet, almost too quiet. No calls, no texts, no online drama. Both their profiles vanished like they'd never existed. It was eerie, like waking up after a tornado to find your house still standing, but every other one on the street gone. Then a letter came. Certified mail. It was from her, M. No return address, just a typed note on cheap printer paper. It said, "If you're reading this, you've probably figured it out. I never loved him. I never cared about you. But I did care about payback. He ruined my life once. Took 2 years from me. Wrecked my credit, my family, my reputation. He left me pregnant once before and made me get rid of it while he played house with another woman. I decided he'd never do that again. So I made sure every woman who trusted him would hate him as much as I did. You were collateral, not the target, but you helped me finish it. Consider that your contribution." I read it twice. My hands were shaking. She'd orchestrated everything, the fake pregnancy, the social media smear campaign, even the leaked group chat. She'd been documenting him the same way he'd documented me. She'd been building a case for months, gathering proof that he manipulated and defrauded women for money, property, and sympathy. And the kicker, she'd already turned everything over to the police. My lawyer confirmed it. Apparently, there was an open investigation into him for financial coercion, fake business scams, and identity fraud. He'd been using women's personal info, social security numbers, bank accounts, even Venmo IDs to funnel money through dummy LLCs. He wasn't just a cheating manipulator. He was a career scammer. That's why he was so desperate to co-wife. It wasn't about love or family. He wanted 2 incomes, 2 lives to drain at once. And M, she'd found out years ago. He'd done it to her before. So she built a revenge so intricate it didn't just expose him, it devoured him. But what she didn't expect was me. Because when she dragged me into it, she created a witness with nothing left to lose and all the receipts. The letter ended with, "Don't come looking for me, I got what I needed. I took everything from him, now I'm free, you should be too." For the first time in weeks, I felt cold, not angry, not hurt, just cold. Because I realized something about both of them. He did it out of greed. She did it out of vengeance. And somewhere in between, I was just a body with a heartbeat they could use to prove a point. That's when I knew what I had to do next. Because I wasn't free, not yet. The morning after I read her letter, I took a long look at myself in the mirror. My face looked tired, but calm, like the storm had already passed through me. I wasn't shaking anymore. I wasn't crying. I wasn't waiting for closure. I was about to make it myself. I met with my lawyer again that afternoon. We went through every file, every message, every audio recording I'd collected. We added the letter, too, it tied everything together. She filed a joint report with law enforcement and sent a copy to the state attorney's office. Then I did something I'd been waiting for weeks to do. I sent out a new link on social media. No captions, no names, just a folder titled "Receipts Don't Lie." Inside were screenshots, documents, voice recordings, the truth laid bare. I blurred out personal information, left out anything illegal or too identifying. But I made sure one thing was clear. He was a scammer, a liar, and a manipulator. The post blew up overnight. People recognized him. Other women came forward. One woman said he'd promised her a business partnership that never existed. Another said she'd been pregnant too. He ghosted her after taking her money for nursery prep. By the third day, local news picked it up. By the fifth, there was an arrest. He was charged with fraud and coercion. When I saw his mugshot online, I felt nothing. No joy, no pain, just quiet. A week later, I got another certified envelope. From the state's restitution office. They'd found my name on several of his transactions. I was listed as one of his victims. I was eligible for reimbursement. I didn't even cash the check when it came. I kept it in the same envelope with my pregnancy test. A reminder, I never heard from Em again. But I did hear whispers, she'd left the state, maybe even changed her name. She gotten what she wanted, so had I in a way. I moved out of that apartment, got a new number, and stopped checking social media. I told my boss I needed a few weeks off, and she understood. She'd seen the news. Everyone had. For the first time in months, I slept through the night. No vibrating phone, no messages, no lies, just silence. Sometimes people tell me I was lucky, that it worked out in the end. I don't see it that way. There's no luck in realizing two people were capable of dismantling your life and calling it love. But there is something powerful about survival. It's not pretty, it's not clean, but it's real. And when people ask what happened between us, I just say, he played games, she played him. And I ended them both. Then I smile and add, real women don't share, they rebuild.